just JP, if you just want to give us a little bit of background on your role as project director at Rebel Group.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Leslie, for giving me this opportunity to speak about that. I'm a project director at Rebel Group. At Rebel Group, we're a consultancy, but also an small investor in infrastructure projects. I'm in the team of port and logistics, and I'm looking at market studies. It's looking at business cases, but also looking at the public and private interactions of ports to see where how the communication and the cooperation between the two can actually be smoothened or optimized, such as PPPs, etc.
Great. Is this a fairly new role for you here with Rebel Group?
With Rebel Group, it's a new role. I'm now based in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam, for ports. It's obviously a big center of the universe for that industry. In terms of work, it's fairly similar to what I've been doing. I've used to work for WSP in London for the last 4 years, and before that for the company called Ocean Shipping Consultants for a long time, also based in London. So it's pretty much my first big role in the Netherlands. So that part, it's new.
All right. So what do you like better, working in the Netherlands or London?
Both has its ups and downs, or pros and cons, to call it like that. It's definitely, there's a big scene, big industry network around London with a lot of focus there. I think working in the Netherlands also has its advantage, being very close to a very big port with all that knowledge. There's a very big knowledge hub in the Netherlands with a lot of consultancy, detailed expertise in terms of port handling and those kind of things. So both has its ups and downs, or pros and cons, as you like to call it. So it's all good.
All right, toss up, we'll say. It's a tie. Okay, so you'll be moderating a panel, Business Outlook, how the project sector is adapting to the new normal. I want to get to that phrase, the new normal, but first, we've seen obviously a lot of challenges around the world with supply chain, just adapting, ramping up technology adoption, etc., since the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know there are challenges, but what opportunities have you seen?
I think, well, in addition to the digitization of the industry and supply chains, I think that's been discussed quite extensively across various boards and panels, and I think definitely an opportunity. I think the second big opportunity for the sector is also that I think a lot of governments and public sectors will be able to grasp this opportunity and actually give the economy a boost, to invest in infrastructure, for example, to invest in new technologies, and to invest in more sustainable ways of going around with our economies and the industries in each and every country. And I think it's a great time to grasp that opportunity. And I think it's really there for the taking of all these governments to actually push that forward.
Excellent. Well, that sounds promising. I did want to ask you about, we've called this webinar Adapting to the New Normal. But I've also heard in conversations with industry people some reservations about using that phrase, new normal. So I want to ask you, have we entered a period where we can say that there is a new normal? Is that something you can define, or is that still developing? How do you see it?
I think in a lot of parts of the economy and society, I think there is definitely a case of a new normal, and obviously that will reflect on how the industry is designed and shaped, and therefore will also affect the project or breakbulk sector. However, I think in terms of shipping, I think it's the logistics chains, they do make sense. There are obviously hurdles in a COVID period or in a post-COVID period. I think there's some things that we have to rethink and realign, but the principle of having international supply chains still does make sense, where we use each other's strengths and make, by trading, we make the economy more efficient and more smoothly. I think we just have to adapt to perhaps some changes that are there, but I think there's a still strong case for global supply chains or international supply chains at least. Talking about new normal, I think we have to be aware that all these sectors are continuously changing, and perhaps one change goes a little bit faster than the other. And obviously, this is a very rapid and dramatic change in conditions. But I think we just have to be aware that a new normal. What is a new normal? I mean, it's just some new conditions, and we just have to be adaptive to those, and then make the best of that.
Absolutely. Okay, that's great. And then finally, I wanted to ask you, as a consultant looking ahead, particularly in maritime transport, what advice do you have for companies to be as successful as possible in 2021? What should they be looking at?
I think, as we say, I mean, there's a new normal. How you want to define it, I think we can be clear on market conditions are changing. I think being successful in this is in the current economic conditions. I think it requires a very good understanding of what the market is doing, where the projects are. So I think market research and understanding your supply chain is essential. And thereby also, I would like to invite all the companies thinking about what to do, also to take a little bit of a longer view, which is sometimes difficult, especially in these stressful situations. But I think there's a lot of opportunities and projects coming up, especially pushed by public authorities that are maybe more in the domain of making economies more sustainable, using different means of like ways of energy or different technologies. And I think in the medium to long term, there will be a lot of opportunities in that part, and especially in the countries where the government is actually taking this opportunity, or perhaps of maybe that when the private sector is a little bit slower, than where the public sector steps in to push these agendas forward. I think there is definitely some opportunities, and I think for companies to be successful in this time is really understanding where and what those projects are, and then there are definitely still opportunities.
Excellent. Well, we'll certainly be addressing that when you host the webinar at the end of this month. That's September 29th. Registration is free. And we're hoping to get the entire community together for that. And I'm sure that we'll hear lots more great advice from you.
Perfect. I'm very much looking forward to speak to you and to the rest of the industry. Perfect.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.